What's up, guys? This is Beast Motorsport. This is my 2013 E92 M3. Is this the craziest E92 M3 that you've ever seen on YouTube? Probably not, but it's a pretty sick car, and I bet it's up there with one of the craziest M3 builds that you've seen. I've done a lot of videos with this car, but I've never done an extensive walkthrough, kind of going through all the different modifications and talking about them. So that's kind of what we're going to do today. This car, and
give it one little rev, make sure all the neighbors know we're here.
At least I still got first and second. So Jason, what do you think about this crazy E92 M3 of mine?
It's absolutely nuts, especially going into fourth gear.
It's nuts going into fourth.
No, it's an impressive car.
You're gonna have to talk loud.
I know. I'll say there's no feeling like being on the track in this car. No matter how hard you push it on the road, it's like you think it's the most amazing thing, and then you hit the track and it's like a whole world. It's just
the track is a different story for sure. Jason's been in this car on track as a passenger many times actually with me. He's never driven it. I might let him drive it at some point in the future. We'll see.
I've driven it on the road, but not on the track.
Yeah, he's driven it on the street, but not on track.
Track next. In the sequential. Bop, 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 bop.
Might have to do that. Jason's first time ever on track is going to be in the E92 M3 with the sequential.
That's right. That's right.
How nuts is that?
Top of the line.
Title: Jason Jenkins crashes race car and destroys sequential. This car, as it sits right now, with everything that I've done to it, I recently had it corner balanced at Cantrell Motorsport. They corner balanced the car, half tank of fuel, no passenger. There is a passenger seat in the car. It was right about 3,000 pounds. So stock, this car is probably about 3,600 pounds. So I've pulled about 600 pounds out of the car. It's right on about 3,000 pounds, which is pretty awesome. I mean, I don't see a lot of these E92 M3s that are 3,000 pounds or sub 3,000 pounds. I do have some plans for this car in the future that is hopefully going to bring it below 3,000 pounds. Well, it definitely will bring it below 3,000 pounds. But possibly the sequential that I'm going to be putting in to replace the stock ZF transmission, that might push me below 3,000 pounds. So anyways, half tank of fuel, no driver, 3,000 pounds. The passenger seat's still in it, so I could pull that out, and with the seat mounting bracket in the passenger seat, that's probably another 50 pounds right there. So I guess if I pulled that out, it would be below 3,000 pounds. So I've done a lot of stuff to this car. This video is kind of off the cuff, so I'm going to try to remember all the different things that I've done, all the different modifications, where I got everything from, and so we're going to try to go through and talk about each little piece. We're going to start here at the front of the car. This is the Carbonius lip. So I got this Carbonius lip out of Germany. This is probably one of the nicest carbon fiber pieces that I have personally ever seen in person. So this lip showed up. It had a beautiful template that made the install process on this lip extremely easy. You actually get a full-size template, you pull your front bumper off, you put the template up to the front bumper, you get it located exactly where you want, and then you drill all your holes, and so it makes installing this incredibly easy. The quality of this piece is amazing. It has like this Kevlar kind of support underneath. Obviously, I've smacked this lip on the ground at the ridge so many times that I'm kind of eating through it. But if it didn't have that Kevlar skin, I mean, who knows what would happen. So there's that there. Pretty much the, what's the downhill turn at the ridge as you come out of the carousel? I want to say it's turn, what is that, turn 7, the downhill there. So as soon as you get to the bottom of that hill, this lip smacks every single time. Lap after lap, day after day, this lip's smacking. So, you know, even though it's just mounted to the front bumper, there's quite a bit of flex to it. It is providing a decent amount of aero benefit. This car is extremely stable at high speeds and high speed corners. But at some point in the future, I will do a chassis mounted lip. but this Carbonius lip is absolutely amazing. You can see here how this is really wide. It's probably one of the biggest and widest just bolt-on front bumper lips that I've ever seen. So this is, I think, the race style version from Carbonius. Really cool. I got this from MS Motorsport on Instagram. He's in Germany, so if you hit him up, he's got all these kind of cool carbon fiber pieces that aren't really easy to get. So this lip is awesome. So these canards, some people call them dive planes. Dive planes are canards. The upper one here is from Veris Engineering. The lower one is from PS Designs on Instagram. When I bought the upper ones from Veris, they didn't have a lower option that you could get at the same time. They might now, but they did not have a lower one to match when I got these. So the lower one is from PSD on Instagram. And then if you look at the tire spats here on the side are from APR. So, you know, I'm sure the tire spats and the dive planes are providing some sort of aero benefit. You know, how could they not be? But I have always loved how these look. So I wanted to put these on. I think they look awesome. They're super aggressive. And then also you're getting some sort of aero benefit with these as well, but they look amazing. These tow hooks are from Racing, R-A-C-E-S-E-N-G. These are pretty sweet, and if you come close here, my buddy Kyle from Union Speed Lab, he actually he did this paint. So this is paint that's set in there. It's actual yellow paint to match the roll cage. I might go with a different tow hook in the future, as these are pretty heavy, but they look awesome. I really like them. Thankfully, I have not had to use them on track yet. Not to my knowledge. I can't remember having to use them, so that's a good thing, but those look super cool. These headlight blanks are from Beamer World. These have been on the car for probably about 6 months now, but they took me 12 months to get. So I ordered them from Beamer World with the supply chain issues and the carbon fiber shortage and stuff during the pandemic. These headlight blanks took a full year to finally get to me. So if you do want to order these, man, you better hit them up and you better pay them the money, and you just got to wait. The total weight savings on these, I want to say, is about 8 pounds per side. So you're saving about 16 total pounds. They look awesome. I don't really drive this car much on the street. I do a little bit. If I do drive it, it's light out, so I don't really need the lights. I'm not doing any 24-hour races or anything with this car. This is mostly a time attack car and a track day monster. So I don't need the front headlights. So I'm going to pop the hood here, and you can kind of take a look at the rear part of these headlight blanks. We got our aero catch. I did these aero catch so that I could remove the stock hood latching mechanism. So when you remove the stock hood latch, you're looking at another 7 pounds saved. Plus, who doesn't love aero catch? They look awesome. See the aero catch here. It's not the prettiest, but you know, I cut into the hood skin, and so here's the aero catch. The aero catch work is basically you install the hood pins, you know, in a nice strong location underneath the hood. Shut the hood, push down, and then they just latch just like that. Boom, boom, just like that. I love these aero catch. I've installed a few sets of them on my cars and then some other people's cars. They're kind of a pain to install. It can be a little scary to install them because you're cutting your nice hood. So the last set of aero catch that I did it on a guy's carbon fiber hood. And so that was a little worrisome, you know, cutting into his brand new, beautiful carbon fiber hood. So you really got to, you know, measure once, cut twice, or wait, measure twice, cut once. I think that's what it is. So they're kind of hard to install, but they look great, and then you're able to get rid of the stock hood latching mechanism, which is the important thing when you're trying to save weight. This right here is an emblem from I&D. So usually the stock emblems have this outside edge, which is chrome, and so basically what I&D does is they take that chrome piece and they paint it in this nice gloss black. So, you know, just a little touch. I like the way it looks. I could probably get some weight savings by ripping it off, but I like the way this looks. These vents on the hood here, these are from Track Spec. You know, the hood vents, they provide a little bit of cooling in the engine bay. They provide a little bit of aerodynamic benefit because you're releasing the high pressure underneath the hood, but they also just look sick. So I love the way that these track spec hood vents look. Take a look at the engine bay. This Dynon intake elbow was actually on the car when I purchased it. It was a one-owner car. This was one of the only modifications that he did, was that Dynon intake elbow. I want to say the intake elbow is probably good for about 5 horsepower. The engine is stock on this car. The only thing that I've done is the intake elbow. It's got underdrive pulleys, and then it has a tune from Epic Motorsport, so it's tuned for 92 pump gas, but it's the stock S65 engine, and it's an absolute beast. The power is great. You know, there's still so much left in this car that I'm not extracting, that I'm rarely ever wanting more power. I'm sure at some point I'd probably want more power, but right now there's so much improvement that I can make as a driver and find time in this car before I'm ever going to start thinking about needing more power. So the plenum here is from Hamas Racing. I think I'm saying that right, Hamas or Hamas. The reason I did this plenum is it saves about 7 pounds right off the front of the car. 7 pounds isn't a lot, but again, this car is 3,000 pounds, and when you are trying to push the weight of this car down, everything helps. So even 7 pounds is awesome. My exhaust is so loud that I can't hear any intake noise from this plenum, but I have heard from other people that have carbon fiber plenums, and then the Hamas plenum here, that it does give you a pretty good intake noise, but I can't hear it. So up here, the suspension that I'm running is the MCS two-way remote system. Raceworks on Instagram helped me out with this kit. They did the kit for me. I haven't had a whole lot of opportunity to track the car with the new MCS on there. The transmission's been bad, and so I've kind of been out this entire season. So the settings and everything that they gave me initially as a baseline, I haven't touched them. So I do look forward to being able to get on track and kind of mess around with the MCS settings and some of the shocks. I think the spring rates and stuff that they put on them will probably stay. I'll probably never mess with those. So I do look forward to being able to drive on those a lot more. So we've got MCS in the front and the rear. The rear is a true coilover. So Raceworks suggested that I do a true coilover in the rear. When you go with a true coilover, there's some information out there that you're supposed to reinforce the shock towers in the rear. Raceworks said, no, you're good. We've put true coilovers on the rear of a lot of these cars, and they're out there having no issues whatsoever. So they didn't suggest that I needed to reinforce the shock towers by, you know, like tying the rear cage into them and welding it in or anything like that. So I didn't do that. So it is a true coilover in the rear. The front and rear suspension components, I have changed out a few of the control arms to SPL, so there is some SPL stuff on the car. The front and rear sway bar have also been changed to the hotchkies. When I first did the hotchkies sway bar, I just did the front. So as most people know, on this car you have to drop the rear subframe to do the rear sway bar. So I was kind of lazy initially when I got the sway bar, so I just put it on the front thinking like, all right, cool, I'm going to upgrade my sway bar, this is going to be great. But what I did is I stiffened the front of the car up so much versus the rear. I introduced a lot of understeer to the front of the car. So the front of the car was so stiff that basically when the front is stiffer than the rear, what happens is the tires will push as you go into a turn. You'll turn the steering wheel, but the car won't turn. It'll just kind of push to the outside. So that was from just installing the front hotchkiss sway bar. I've since dropped the rear subframe. I've done all the solid subframe bushings, so we've done all the upgrades there. All the differential bushings are also solid, and the subframe bushings are solid aluminum as well. I think I got those from MRF Engineering on Instagram. So I did the rear sway bar. I would suggest if you are going to upgrade the sway bars, you do them both at the same time to try to maintain that balance. So I kind of made that mistake by doing the front sway bar and not the rear. So you definitely will introduce understeer to the car if you do that. If you have adjustable coilovers, adjustable shocks, you could probably kind of compensate for that and kind of tune it out. But it's like, you know, if you're going to upgrade the sway bars, just wait, do them both at the same time. I have a few buddies on track that drive these cars, and they have the stock sway bars and they're fast as heck and no issues whatsoever. So just wait and do both the sway bars at the same time. Take a look, you can probably see how I've got some body damage on the stock hood here. Basically what happened the very first time that I was out at the Ridge, it actually wasn't my first track day at the Ridge, it was probably maybe my third or fourth track day that I'd actually been there. This was probably about 3 years or so now. But this was the first day that I had ran with traction control completely off. So I had traction control completely off. I was running the power button on, and so anybody that knows these cars knows that when you run the power button on, the gas pedal, there's no modulation. There is a little bit, but not very much, and so it's kind of like an on-off switch. It's very twitchy is the way that I describe it. So you can imagine I was a relatively new driver. I didn't have a ton of experience. I had a twitchy gas pedal on-off. I had no TC on. I was coming around the last turn at the Ridge, smashed the gas, the rear came around, I had a big oversteer moment and I just wasn't ready for it. I couldn't catch it. So unfortunately, I lost control. The car hit the wall at the Ridge going probably only about 25 miles an hour. But it, you know, it damaged the hood. It was a big hit to the ego. It was extremely embarrassing because I love this car so much. I mean, this car is my baby. You know, so hitting the wall at the Ridge is never fun. So that, you know, that happened. So that's what this damage is from. I had to replace the front bumper, you know, the canards, the front lip, everything had to be replaced. So at some point in the future, I will be going with a carbon fiber hood. That's why I haven't replaced this hood yet. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of explain why this damage is here. The fenders, these are from DTM Fiberworks. I've always wanted a set of vented fenders on this car. I used to see pictures from E92 M3s over at the Nürburgring that were running the full carbon Flossmann fenders. So I wanted a set of the Flossmann fenders. The problem is they're really hard to get. I couldn't get them to ship me a set of their carbon fenders. So DTM Fiberworks, I think they make them here in the USA, but anyways, they had a set in stock. They showed up. Basically, I fit them to the car. So I fit them to the car first, I pulled them off and then brought them to the paint shop. They painted them and then I brought them back and installed them on the car. The fitment on these is pretty good. You know, again, this is a race car, this is a track car. You know, if you were going to be daily driving this and maybe it's a show car for you, you might want to bring these fenders to a body shop and have them do the install so that they can do a little bit of body work and try to get the fitment a little bit better. But overall, the fitment's pretty good. Come in a little bit closer here, you can see the vents right here, so they're fully functional. So what this does is it allows the air in the wheel well to kind of release that high pressure and helps kind of push the car down a little bit. There's also a big vent in the back of the wheel here. So in the rear part of the fender, I cut the fenders to open these vents up. This mesh right here is a black aluminum painted mesh. So I basically meshed these holes. I did that here because I didn't want rocks and stuff shooting through here and hitting the door. So that's just a black aluminum mesh. The way that I adhere that mesh is with something called Sikaflex. So Sikaflex is a pretty hardcore adhesive that is pretty much permanent. So you got to be careful if you get it on something, it's not coming off. So it's a hardcore adhesive, but it does a really good job of adhering things, especially this aluminum mesh in certain holes. And I did that on the rear bumper as well that I'll show you guys here in a minute. These side markers were kind of a pain in the butt to install. So when they send you these fenders, there's no holes, there's nothing drilled, there's nothing there for you. So you have to drill all your own holes, do all your own cutting. So these side markers here, I basically had to figure out how I was going to get these side markers in here, cut all my own holes, drill everything. So pretty much what I did is I stuck these side markers in, got them as tight as I could, and then I Sikaflexed them in. So there's adhesive behind there keeping those side markers in place. So the DTM Fiberworks fenders, they do all bolt in the stock locations. So you see you've got a bolt here, here, and here. So you bolt it to the stock locations here. And then on the back side as well, there's 3 bolts here that also bolt to the stock locations. One thing to keep in mind with these vented fenders, I'm pretty sure it's the same with the Flossmans as well. The washer bottle fluid reservoir is usually underneath this fender right here. So if you run vented fenders, you will have to remove that washer bottle fluid reservoir. So it's just something to keep in mind if you do want to run these vented fenders on your car. So wheels and tires. Wheels, these are the Apex VS 5RS. When Apex came out with this style and I saw them on pictures, I knew I had to have them. I mean, they're such a cool looking wheel in pictures, but then in person, this is probably one of the craziest wheel styles that I've ever seen in person. It's in a brushed clear finish. I love Titan 7. I have 2 sets of Titan 7 wheels for this car as well. What I'll do is I'll pretty much, I'll have a set on the car, and then I'll have a set in storage, so that way when the tires are ready to be changed, I can just grab that new set, throw them on the car, and then kind of rotate them around like that. The tires that I normally run are the Nankang CR1s. I think they're called the CRS now. So I run a 285/30/18 square setup all around. I do that so that I can rotate the wheels and tires. I pretty much rotate them after every single track day. I'll take the corner that's getting the most abuse on whatever track I'm at, and I'll take that wheel and I'll put it on the opposite corner that's getting the least amount of abuse. So it's nice to run a square setup like this because it allows you to do that and rotate and get as much tire life as you possibly can out of the tires. I love these Nankang CRS. It's a 200 tread wear tire. I probably get about 5 full track days out of a set of Nankang CRS. And that's running, maybe 5-6 sessions on average during that track day, about 20-minute sessions a piece. But it's a great tire. I mean, they're fast. The tire wear is pretty dang good. They communicate really well at the limit, so you know where they're at, so it inspires a lot of confidence. They don't make any noise whatsoever. They're dead silent, but they give you a lot of feedback and they give you a lot of feel, so you know where they're at. I don't think most 200 treadwear tires make any noise. I think maybe the R888s will kind of squeal a little bit when you're pushing them past their limit. But I love these tires. This is kind of my main tire that I go to when I'm running a 200 treadwear. So the brakes on the car, I'm running the Alcon 6-piston front, 4-piston rear with a nickel-plated finish. So very race car. I got this kit from Beamer World, so you might be wondering why I went with Alcons over the AP Racing kit. Mostly because I really like the guys at Beamer World. Their customer service is amazing. They're just really good, solid people. So I like to support them whenever I can. So, they sell Alcons, so that's what I went with. So the stopping power on these Alcons is awesome. You can take them out on track and from the very first lap all the way to like the 10th or 12th lap that they're going to stop over and over and over and over again. The pads on the front I think are 25 millimeters, so they're super thick. They might even be 27. My transmission's been down and I'm waiting for a new transmission, so I really haven't been able to drive this car on track very much this season. But I imagine that those pads are going to hold up and they're just going to keep going over and over and over again. Right now I'm just running an endurance race pad that Beamer World recommended, so I might kind of change that up and see what a different pad compound can do. The style of driving that I do with this car is more time attack style. So I do regular track days with it, and I do a lot of laps and I do a lot of sessions, but a lot of times I'm going out and I'm trying to put down the fastest lap that I can possibly do on that day. So kind of a time attack style, so I might try a little different brake pad compound to see if I can get something a little better than just the endurance pad that's on there right now. But they're awesome, they stop really well, they're easy to clean with the nickel plated finish, super cool. One thing about the E92 M3s that people know, the stock brakes, they're fine, but when you start tracking the stock brakes, they go away very quickly. I mean, you can do a couple laps on the stock brakes and then you're losing your stopping power and they get kind of squishy. One thing that you can do on these cars to improve that, if you're going to continue to run the stock brakes, is you can change the pads, you can upgrade your fluid to something like a .4 or like SRF, and you can upgrade to stainless steel braided lines. So those are a few things that you can easily do to improve the stock brakes. And I've actually heard of a few guys doing that, and they're still tracking on the stock brakes. My buddy George, in his E90 M3, extremely fast. He has the Time Attack R8. I think it's a red now, whatever wrap he's got on it now. But he tracks that E90 M3 hard. He puts down fast laps, and he's still on the stock brakes. All he's doing is he's running different pads, fluid, and the stainless lines, and you know, he loves them and they're fine. So third gear and fourth is gone. Watch this. Nothing. Ooh, went into third. But it's yeah, it's like
this toast now.
Fourth is gone because I ran fourth basically the entire time at the track.
Damn.
And then I don't know how many sessions I did. I think I did 3 sessions at the track with the. It's just gone. Oh. Still got second.